We are proud to recognize Bertam Capital as Blue Wave's 2026 Private Equity Innovator of the Year. Bertam Capital represents the cutting edge of private equity. They're at the forefront of business building innovation, cohesively integrating the best of people and technology. Bertram's unique combination of technological savvy, operational know-how, and team-first mentality has enabled their well-earned reputation as an unparalleled builder of market leaders. At the same time, Bertam remains deeply committed to corporate citizenship, proving that achieving excellent investment returns and making a meaningful impact in the world can go hand in hand. To better understand what makes Bertam Capital so innovative, we visited their Foster City, California headquarters and spoke with Managing Partner Jeff Drazen, Principal Tom Long, and Principal Jeremy Crosby. Here's what the Bertam team had to say. Jeff, what inspired you to start Bertam, and what was your original vision?
Well, I was a venture capitalist before I got into the private equity business, 22 years at Sierra Ventures. And when I started Bertam, or right around the time I started Bertam, was the beginning of the social media revolution here in Silicon Valley. And I wanted to hire a bunch of young people at my old firm who could participate in that, because that's where all the deal flow was with 20-year-olds, and we were in our 40s, and I was kind of aging out of that deal flow. So we brought people in-house, and we sort of affectionately referred to this concept as Bertam Labs inside of Bertam.
Can you tell us more about your approach to value creation?
This is really fundamental to why we started Bertam, is to have a unique approach to value creation. And it really centers around Bertam Labs. I think for the first 15 years of our existence, no other private equity firm had anything like Bertam Labs. And even today, after 19 and a half years of Bertam, there might be just a few other firms that are beginning to start to create their own in-house IT team or digital strategies team. Bertam was started with the idea that we would buy low-tech, no-tech businesses and infuse those companies with information technology to execute against our digital transformation strategy. And that is what has created all the growth that we have inside of our portfolio companies, is the execution of that.
Our approach is to use technology. So rather than having kind of typical business operators and operating partners, what we have are technologists at Bertam. So we have everyone from kind of expert software engineers to cybersecurity experts to designers to a data science team. And we use that team to partner with our portfolio companies and to facilitate growth.
So when it comes to due diligence, by the time the technology team is involved, the investment teams have already done a lot of the work, researching the market, researching customers, looking at the big players and potential acquisition targets. So when we're involved, we're looking at technology and how it can unlock value, but also potentially how it could be constraining organizations. And so we're taking a look at what are the typical solutions in these markets, where are they being best utilized, and then where we can potentially add some value on top of that.
And we're involved in every phase of business value creation, everything from upfront diligence and sourcing all the way through to exit.
When you're going through that process with your prospective partners there, to what degree does that enable you to A, bid more confidently, but B, form a stronger relationship with the investment target who's looking to work with folks who can bring something in addition to capital? I think it's a huge benefit to us in that bid process, because I think it immediately builds trust. We've spent the time researching their business and actually not just focusing on a whole, but looking at them as individuals and their business and what makes them unique. And we're able to apply technology solutions that are going to benefit their business. Can you tell us more about the origin story of Bertam Labs? What was the original inspiration of this unit within your organization?
Initially, it was going to be consultants who were helping us, employ a digital strategy inside of these portfolio companies that had no digital strategies. In fact, anybody who starts a business or runs a business today realizes that they have to be digital. But it's intimidating. There's so many technologies. It's very costly. You don't know which one to choose. Do you use Oracle ERP? Do you use Microsoft Dynamics? Do you use, some other third-party, software? There's 20 choices to make. and there's 1,000 organizations out there that would love to do that for you. Bertram was founded, to be able to deliver those capabilities in a cost-effective and rapid way, to those portfolio companies to get them to market faster with a digital strategy.
Where today is Bertram Labs spending most time once you make an investment? How do they come in and immediately kind of decide, here's where we're going to be working in partnership with the leadership teams of your portfolio companies?
Well, the very first thing we do is we have our cybersecurity team implement our cybersecurity strategy in those portfolio companies. Because if there's one thing that any CEO of any organization, whether it's a corner convenience store, or it's a Fortune 100 company, the CEOs stay up at night worrying about cybersecurity. A cyber attack can shut down a business overnight and cause a tremendous damage. We've had it happen to one of our portfolio companies, and it's a devastating event, when it happens. And our reaction to that was, we need a cybersecurity team. So within the first 24 hours of us owning a business, our cybersecurity strategy is implemented across the board. So now that, as good fiduciaries of that business for our investors, we're protected. So that's the first thing that we do. The second thing we do is start to implement some of the strategies that we have discussed with management during our management meetings and our due diligence period.
Now, Jeremy, you've done your diligence. It's informed your value creation plan. To what degree does then that help you make a more confident bid, but also establish trust with the prospective target who's looking for someone to bring not only capital, but also know-how in value creation to bear?
Yeah, I think by that time we've met with the management teams. We've gotten to really know their business and as well as knowing the overall market. So where it gives us confidence is that we spend a lot of time not just looking at what solutions we might be able to bring to bear that makes sense for that market, but also what makes that individual business so unique. And we craft our solutions around what makes those businesses unique, not just what the overall market demands.
Jeremy, you've been with Bertram for over a decade. How has this approach changed over time?
It's some things have changed and some things have stayed the same. I think as, fund sizes have grown, which has given us the ability to buy, larger businesses, the technology needs are just different at businesses of that size. But also there's a lot of things that we used to do in the past that are still applicable to what we do today. Just, getting technology to work better, process automation, all that stuff has pretty much stayed the same. What's really changed is the technology landscape.
How is Bertram Labs approaching AI and supporting your portfolio companies during this huge tectonic shift?
Yeah, I think a better question is, how are we not using AI at this point? Like, AI really infuses everything that we do, both within Bertram Labs, within Bertram Labs, within the firm as a whole, and then across our portfolio. So we're based here in Silicon Valley, kind of the heart of the AI movement. And so that's a big part of our DNA is keeping up with the technology of the Valley and then applying that to our firm and to our portfolio companies.
Yeah, AI has infused everything that we do, from just doing initial business assessments to just getting an overview of some of these new markets that we're not familiar with, and especially when it comes to technology, it allows us to get up to speed really quickly. And then when it comes to if we're talking to a company and they're talking about ideas or challenges they're having, I think the opportunity cost has gone way down in terms of us being able to come up with a prototype, a solution, and just start working with that team, which gets back to building that trust.
We have monthly teach-ins here at Bertram, with the entire organization. From our AI committee, we have an AI committee, 20 people inside of the organization whose job it is to just look at AI offerings that are offered by Silicon Valley and other vendors, and evaluate those to see if they're applicable for our portfolio companies or for us, and then bring them to the fore and demonstrate them to everybody in the organization so that we all maintain currency on what is available in the AI world.
So Jeff, what are some of the ways that Bertram has built its organization in order to succeed in today's environment?
I was looking, when I moved from venture capital to private equity, to have a very collaborative environment amongst my team. I didn't want attribution, for the success of a deal or even the failure of a deal to go to one person. I wanted to go to the entire team. And in that regard, every dollar that comes out of this firm gets signed off physically by the investment committee. And so that nobody can say, well, I didn't want to do that. Nothing's verbal, everything's written, so it's cast in stone. And most recently, we just had a company sale, a very successful sale of a company called Nefco, which was run by one of our recently promoted partners, Chris Brown. And Chris wrote a note to the entire organization when we sold that business and thanked the finance team, the business development team, the HR team, the deal team, everybody in the organization, the front desk. And it was a beautifully written note, of thank you for all your efforts to help make this successful. And it really exemplified what I wanted to create here at Bertam in the very beginning, not a siloed organization, but one where there's a lot of collaboration. Everybody feels the success of our successes.